Coming up on the program, it's time for us to harvest our garlic, and from our test samples we've got a variety of different sizes. And we're going to fill in one of our empty beds with peas for the fall. All that and more coming up today on the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener.
The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener is sponsored by the following. MIgardener.com, over 300 varieties of non-GMO, heirloom, organic flowers, vegetables, and herb seeds, all for 99 cents. MIgardener.com. Sioux Growing Supply, located in Wausau, Wisconsin, focusing on certified leaf compost, an excellent amendment for poor soil. With their new garden blend, improving soil structure in clay and sandy soil, great for creating new garden beds. Also available from Sioux's, pre-filled trays and pots with professional potting soil mix or organic rice hull-based potting soil mix. Bag and bulk of certified leaf compost also available. Visit SiouxGrowingSupply.com. Stop before you dig. Call Digger's Hotline first. Call 3 business days before you dig. It's the law. It's completely free and it's for your safety. Know what's below before you dig. It's your responsibility. Call Digger's Hotline or visit them at diggershotline.com. HappyLeafLED.com. Commercial grade grow light with a home gardener's affordability. No fans, no motors. Simply plug in and grow. Great for seed starting to lettuce to full grown tomatoes. All indoors. HappyLeafLED.com.
Sustain Natural Fertilizer, offering superior organic plant foods that deliver research-proven results. Trusted by farmers, growers, and gardeners for 30 years. Learn more at sustain.com.
Welcome to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. I'm Joy Baird. We are harvesting our garlic. Now this is one of the patches we have. We have another one on the other end of the garden. Now what you can see here is this garlic was planted the first Saturday in October, and we've got 4 different varieties. We've got a Georgia Crystal, a German Hardy, a Purple Galaxy, as well as a Spanish Roja garlic. Now I don't know what is what. We've just combined them with the large cloves and planted them. This is a very weedy, thistled bed, and that one over there is much weedier than this one, and really are trying to figure out why, as we had worked these beds very thorough at the time of planting. We did take a sample of a variety of different garlics plants about a week and a half ago, and we have a very large cloved, very large head garlic there. We have very small garlic, medium garlic, and okay garlic. This bed here appears to be much larger in size than the other bed. So what we'll do is we went ahead and removed, these are all hard neck garlics, and we removed the scapes that will prevent the plant from going to seed and utilizing extra energy for seed development instead of bulb development. So a couple of things you want to know before you harvest your garlic. One, you want to wait until the lower leaves, and it's hard to see because of the weeds, these lower leaves are beginning to die back. This one here, I'll just rip it off. That one's died back. This is a secondary leaf. It's beginning to die back. These are more easier to tell. The bottom leaf is died back. This one here is dying back. Now, some people will leave these in the garden until the whole plant dies. That's fine. You can do that. But what we have found is if you do choose to do that and you have a very wet period, that your plant bulbs, the garlic, can actually start molding inside of the husk or inside of the skin. So that's something you want to be aware of, as well as I could let this set for another 3 weeks. It's not going to get any larger than what it is right now. And I have plans to put crops in behind these instead of just letting these beds lay furrow until next spring. So when you harvest your garlic, whether your bed is weedy like this or not, you want to use a garden fork, preferably, rather than a shovel. One, it's less soil disturbance and less chance of actually cutting into the bulb if you're planted densely like we are. A garden fork is a hard-tine fork. It's not a hay fork or a farm fork. It's designed for soil digging. So we'll get next to it, and I'll lift up. And then gently, as best you can, loosen. There you go. That's a decent bulb. You can see I pulled up some of that wire grass that we deal with so much around here. You want to do this when it's not super muddy. It's just damp. It did rain last night. Now the reason why you just don't want to walk through here and just yank them up is because you will detach the top from the bulb. You want to leave those intact because you will hang these and cure these, is what the term is, and you'll hang them vertical like this, and the energy from the top will work itself into the bulb and actually add a little bit more flavor. Now you can just go ahead and trim these off, trim the roots off, and that is called green garlic, or you can use it right away. You don't have to cure it, but for long-term storage, curing it in a cool, ventilated area like an eave of a porch. We have a spare bedroom. We open the windows up and hang them in there. Works just fine. So I'm going to go through here, and in the process of pulling the garlic up, I'm actually going to weed as best I can so I don't get cut with all these thistles, and then we'll see what the end result of this bed is, and then we'll head to the bed that I'm not looking forward to because I know that the garlic is not going to be as large. So we harvested that bed of garlic, and we got 45 cloves or 45 bulbs of garlic, and a variety of different sizes from average to, this was the earlier test bulb, and we actually got a nice larger bulb there, and we did get some tinier bulbs, but that's what you're going to get in your garlic. You're not going to have 100% large bulbs all the time. So now that we've got these 45 harvested, we've got about another 45 to dig up in the next bed, which we do not anticipate being very large. There's going to be a lot of small bulbs there, and we're not really sure why. We did fertilize and add compost to the bed, but we'll see what we end up with. So this is the other bed of garlic. There is garlic in here, and we just can't figure out why we have so many weeds, but nevertheless, we're going to dig this garlic up, and then we'll weed it later, but we'll see what we end up having. There is some garlic here in which we have missed cutting the scapes off of. That's going to decrease in the bulb size. Now, if you do run across this, that you've missed some, after you've harvested, go ahead and cut these off because these will continue to grow and feed off the actual bulb, and the bulb will get smaller. So go ahead and snip them off when you harvest them if you forgot to do that at this point. So I'm just going to go in here and try to find what garlic we have and then see what the end result will be. So we got the other bed harvested. It was not nearly as successful as the first bed, and as our garden gnome is examining our garlic, we have very small bulbs. This is very tiny bulbs, like 1 clove bulbs, and we do have some decent sized garlic here. We got 35 plus 25, 60 bulbs, 60 bulbs of garlic out of that bed, and really not as impressive. And we believe by just examining the size of this, there wasn't enough nutrients in the soil. We haven't built that bed up as strongly as we thought we once had. Also, that's came out of the bed. That came out of the bed as well. So total here we've got 45 cloves there, 50 there. Good chunk of garlic. We always want super big bulbs, but average bulbs are okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hang this up and dry it, but also we will designate the largest bulbs to save for seed this fall. The largest bulbs have the best opportunity to have the largest cloves, which in return, if the soil is good, will create very large garlic bulbs in the fall, in a year from now when we plant in October and harvest in June, July. That's average there. And we might have to reinvest in some of our seed stock because some of this, the Spanish Roja, is 4 years old. We've continued to use and use and use, and it may be an opportunity to invest in some more garlic. So garlic harvest, it's okay. I've seen better, I've seen worse, but we are happy with what we have here. This here is milkweed, and this is native to our area. And if you're going to grow milkweed, you want to get the specific variety that's native to your area. Now, the important thing about milkweed is the monarch butterfly, it will only lay its larva on the milkweed, and the larva will only feed off the milkweed. So there's no other species that larva will feed off of. So that's why it's important to have milkweed. Now, it can be invasive. As you see, it's kind of overtaken our strawberry patch. And it does seed very easily, in our opinion. This has been here, this will die back, and then it'll grow every year. All of this on this side of the fence, that's all new from last year's seeding. So we'll have to figure out how to kind of control it. You don't want to eliminate it because you do want the monarch butterflies to come lay its larvae. And I did find one larva, worm-like larva, crawling on this milkweed. So if you've never grown milkweed, you might want to consider doing that in order to help the monarch butterfly in its flight up to Canada. And again, you can find your own specific variety of milkweed. You can also maybe find somebody in your area that has it, and you can save the seeds this fall and just broadcast the seeds, and they'll do just fine. And again, and it's a great invitation to beneficial insects like bees as well. So milkweed, have it in your garden. Be careful where you put it. It can be invasive, as we see here. And it is a great enticer of the monarch butterfly as well as insects. So we're going to plant peas for fall. Now this is something you can do here in zone 5A, 6, 7, right around the early portions of July. We had garlic in this bed and we've pulled it out, we've worked the soil. We're going to add some amendments to the soil to help the peas out. Now peas actually do not need a whole lot of nitrogen if your soil is lacking in this, because it will fix the nitrogen from the atmosphere, and then they'll put little nodulars on the roots, and that's where that nitrogen is held until the plant needs it. Now if you do add nitrogen, the plant will access that first before it tries to do its natural procedure of extracting the nitrogen from the air. So what we're going to do here is, I've got coffee grounds. I'm just going to sprinkle in and then we'll work in. As well as some 464 Sustain fertilizer. I'll do the applicational rate here. Then I'll start working this in, and then we'll get our peas planted. When working coffee grounds in, you want to remove all the non-biodegradable stuff. The filters are fine to work in the soil here. You do want to mix it in, because laying coffee grounds on the top, the nitrogen availability in them, which is about 2%, will evaporate and you'll lose that. You also can form, if you have a lot of coffee grounds, it can also create a crust in which the water can't permeate through. So we want to get that's worked in, and then we'll get our peas set up to plant. So I've got the bed worked in there with the Sustain fertilizer, the coffee grounds. You can add compost to it as well. We're just out of compost, so we're not going to do that. So we're going to plant 3 different varieties of peas. We're going to plant a sugar snap pea, common ordinary green pod, a mammoth melting snow pea, again ordinary green pod, and then blue shelling peas that actually have a bluish purple pod tint to them. These will take 55 to 70 days to reach maturity, and they will be fine and ready to go in later fall. Now the technique in this is the same as you would spring peas. The advantage to planting them now is the days are getting shorter. That's the pea plant likes that, as well as the soil is plenty warm. Challenge that we faced in our garden this spring was the soil was right at borderline 35-40 degrees when we planted our peas, and we didn't use good certified seeds. We used some seeds that we had saved, so that was hurting us in 2 aspects of the production of our plants, which are very small, and that we didn't have a good germination rate on them. So with peas, we're going to do 3 rows here. And you want to space them, you want to go about 3/4 of an inch deep, and space them about 2 inches would be ideal. 2 to 3 inches would be better. You just don't want a big gap, because you do want these to be somewhat tight together. So I'm going to get these planted. So I'm just going to make a furrow or a little row here with my triangular hoe. Now we're going to start with the purple or the blue shelling peas. Now I was uncertain of what these actually look like. The peas themselves are purple in color. So We're going to go ahead and space these just like we would normal peas. These are just regular peas, and we're just going to space them. I'm going to go every 3 inches just to give us a good reference here. And then we'll get the rest of the peas planted, and then we'll talk about our final step in this procedure. So we got all 3 rows planted. Now with the variety in which you decide to grow, you want to know when to harvest it. Some of them you don't want to harvest them until they're fully, the pods are full. Other ones you want to harvest when they're just flat pods. So keep that in mind. Now that we've got these covered, and you can mulch them with straw, dry chemical-free, seed-free grass clippings. If you have leaves left over from the fall last year, you can mulch them. You do want to trellis these, and you can make any type of homemade trellis, 2 poles on each end with strings going across, because once they get about 4 to 5 inches tall, they will want to start grabbing onto something, and by elevating them, they're going to be easier to find to pick, and they're going to grow better. So fall peas, something that you can put in your garden now so you can have more peas not only in the spring, but also in the fall. Thanks for joining me. Join me again next time for more organic gardening and food preserving. I'm Joy Baird, and this has been the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.